Ladies, let me tell you something straight, and I'm saying this with love, not judgment. When a man does not love you, he hides one powerful truth from you. You are not his priority, and he won't say it with his mouth. Oh no, he'll say it with his behavior. Because a man can lie with words, but his actions, those never miss. Now listen carefully, because this message might save you years of pain. Sign number 2. He avoids clarity. Inconsistency is one of the loudest signs a man gives. When his heart is not fully invested, and most people underestimate how damaging it really is. One day he is present, attentive, affectionate, and making you feel seen. And the next day he becomes distant, distracted, or completely unavailable. This emotional on and off is not accidental. It is not because he is busy, tired, or overwhelmed. It happens because consistency requires intention, and intention only shows up when love is real. A man who loves you does not struggle to remember you exist. He does not need reminders to call, to check in, or to show up emotionally. When love is there, effort becomes natural, not forced. Inconsistent behavior creates confusion, and confusion slowly weakens a person's self-worth. You start questioning yourself instead of questioning his actions. You wonder if you said something wrong, if you asked for too much, if you should be more patient or more understanding. Meanwhile, his pattern remains the same. He shows up strongly when it suits him and disappears when it does not. This cycle keeps you emotionally off balance, always waiting for the version of him that felt warm, kind, and invested. That version shows up just enough to keep hope alive, but never long enough to build trust. A man who is inconsistent is not undecided about you. He is undecided about the responsibility that comes with loving you. Love demands reliability. It requires emotional presence even when life is busy, stressful, or inconvenient. When a man truly loves you, his actions don't shift based on his mood or availability. He doesn't treat you like an option one day and a priority the next. His behavior is steady because his feelings are settled. Inconsistency reveals that his interest is situational, not committed. This pattern often makes a woman work harder than she should. She becomes more accommodating, more forgiving, more flexible, thinking that if she just gives a little more, he will finally stabilize. But inconsistency is not fixed by effort from one side. The more you adjust, the less reason he has to change. He learns that he can give you fragments and still receive your full attention. Over time, this dynamic drains your emotional energy and conditions you to accept less than you deserve. Inconsistent men often justify their behavior with charm, excuses, or promises. They say things like, that's just how I am, or I'm going through a lot right now, or I care about you. But caring is not proven through words spoken occasionally. It is proven through actions repeated consistently. Anyone can be kind when it's easy. Love shows itself when effort is required, when presence matters, and when accountability is necessary. What makes inconsistency so dangerous is that it mimics hope. It keeps you believing that the good moments are the truth and the bad moments are temporary. But in reality, the inconsistency itself is the truth. The version of him that disappears is just as real as the version that shows up. When someone truly loves you, you don't have to analyze patterns, decode messages, or wonder where you stand. You feel secure because their behavior gives you clarity. Inconsistency is not a phase. It is a reflection of emotional unavailability, and emotional unavailability cannot offer the safety, trust, and peace that real love requires. Sign number 2, he avoids clarity. When a man avoids clear commitment and refuses to define the relationship, it is rarely because he is confused about his feelings. Most of the time, he knows exactly how he feels, but he is unwilling to accept the responsibility that comes with making things clear. Clarity creates accountability, and accountability removes his freedom to act only when it suits him. By keeping things undefined, he maintains control while you remain emotionally invested without security. This avoidance is not accidental. It is a deliberate way to enjoy the benefits of closeness without the obligations of commitment. You may notice how conversations about the future make him uncomfortable. Simple questions about where the relationship is going, what you mean to him, or how he sees you in his life are met with jokes, silence, or vague answers. He may say things like, let's just see where it goes, or why do we need label, making it seem as if wanting clarity is unreasonable or desperate. In reality, clarity is not pressure, it is respect. A man who truly values you understands that emotional safety matters, and he does not leave you guessing about your place in his life. Avoiding commitment often places the emotional burden entirely on you. You are expected to be loyal, patient, understanding, and available, while he reserves the right to pull back whenever he wants. This imbalance creates anxiety, because you are giving relationship-level energy without receiving relationship-level security. Over time, you may start shrinking your needs to keep the peace, convincing yourself that you are okay with uncertainty, even when it quietly hurts. This is how commitment avoidance slowly erodes self-worth. A man who avoids labels often benefits from the illusion of connection. He gets companionship, intimacy, emotional support, and sometimes exclusivity, all without making a promise. He enjoys the comfort of you being there while keeping his options open. If something better appears, or if things become inconvenient, he can exit without guilt because nothing was ever clearly defined. This does not mean he is evil or heartless. It means he is choosing his comfort over your clarity. What makes this behavior especially painful is how it is often disguised as emotional depth or maturity. He may claim that he wants something real and natural, or that he does not like rushing into things because he has been hurt before. While healing and patience are valid, they should not require another person to live in emotional limbo. A healed man moves toward clarity, not away from it. Avoiding definition is not emotional intelligence, it is emotional avoidance. When a man loves you, he does not fear calling you his partner. He does not hesitate to claim you in words and actions. He understands that commitment is not a trap, but a choice that brings stability and trust. He wants you to feel secure because your peace matters to him. A man who avoids commitment is telling you, without saying it, that he is not ready to prioritize you in the way you deserve. The most important thing to understand is that you cannot convince a man into commitment through patience or loyalty alone. If clarity does not come naturally to him, it is because he is not prepared to give you the certainty you need. You deserve to be with someone who is proud to define the connection, who does not flinch when asked where you stand, and who understands that love grows stronger when it is clearly chosen rather than carefully avoided. Sign number 3, he gives you just enough to keep you hoping. When a man gives you just enough to keep you attached, it creates a confusing emotional space where you are constantly waiting for more while convincing yourself to be grateful for less. This behavior is subtle but deeply manipulative, even when it is not intentional. He offers small doses of affection, attention, or reassurance, timed perfectly to stop you from walking away. Just when you start pulling back or questioning your worth, he shows up with a sweet message, a compliment, or a promise that sounds meaningful but lacks substance. This keeps your hope alive while his effort remains minimal. This pattern works because the human heart clings to potential. You remember the moments when he was kind, present, or emotionally open, and you tell yourself that those moments represent who he really is. In reality, those moments are not his standard. They are his strategy. If he truly wanted to give you consistency, depth, and commitment, You would not have to survive on emotional crumbs. Love does not ration affection. Love gives freely and fully. Men who operate this way often enjoy the comfort of knowing someone is emotionally invested in them. They like being wanted, needed, and admired, but they are not willing to match that energy. They will text enough to stay relevant, call enough to stay remembered, and show concern only when they feel you slipping away. This keeps you emotionally hooked while allowing them to invest very little of themselves. Over time, you may find yourself doing all the emotional labor, while he enjoys the benefits without contributing equally. Giving just enough also creates an unhealthy power imbalance. You begin to feel like you must earn his attention or prove your value to receive basic emotional care. You analyze his tone, his timing, his words, searching for signs that he cares more than he shows. Meanwhile, he controls the pace, the depth, and the direction of the connection. This imbalance slowly trains you to accept uncertainty as normal and inconsistency as romantic, even though it is neither. This behavior often hides behind charm and emotional talk. He may say he cares deeply, that he thinks about you, that you are special to him, but his actions never align with his words. He avoids deeper investment while keeping you emotionally available. When confronted, he may accuse you of wanting too much or moving too fast, making you question your own needs. But wanting effort, consistency, and clarity is not excessive. It is basic emotional health. The danger of accepting minimal effort is that it conditions you to lower your standards. You start celebrating things that should be normal, like timely replies or basic consideration. You excuse neglect because of occasional affection. Over time, this erodes your sense of what love should feel like. You stop expecting consistency and start feeling grateful for attention that should be guaranteed in a loving relationship. A man who truly loves you does not calculate the minimum required to keep you. He does not fear giving too much because he is not trying to protect his freedom at your expense. He invests because he wants to build something real, not because he is afraid of losing access to you. When someone is only giving just enough, it is because they want the benefits of your presence with them. The responsibility of fully choosing you. Sign number 4, he doesn't protect your heart. When a man disregards your emotional well-being, it reveals a deep lack of care that words can never compensate for. Love is not only about affection or attraction. It is about responsibility for how your presence affects another person's heart. A man who loves you becomes aware of your feelings and adjusts his behavior to protect them. When that awareness is missing, you will notice how easily he dismisses your emotions, minimizes your pain, or acts as if your reactions are the problem rather than his actions. This disregard often shows up in small moments that slowly add up. You express how something he did hurt you, and instead of listening, he becomes defensive or impatient. He may tell you that you are overthinking, too sensitive, or making a big deal out of nothing. These responses shift the focus away from his behavior and place the burden on your emotions. Over time, you may begin to silence yourself, choosing peace over honesty, because you know your feelings will not be handled with care. A man who does not value your emotional well-being will also fail to consider the impact of his choices. He will make plans without thinking about how they affect you. He will disappear without explanation and return as if nothing happened. He will speak without considering how his words land. This lack of mindfulness creates emotional instability, leaving you constantly adjusting to his unpredictability. Love, on the other hand, is attentive. It pays attention to patterns, triggers, and vulnerabilities because it wants to nurture, not harm. Disregard for your emotional health also shows in his inability to take accountability. When you are hurt, he focuses on defending himself instead of understanding you. Apologies, if they come at all, feel empty and rushed, meant to end the conversation rather than heal the wound. Real care involves listening without interruption, acknowledging pain without excuses, and changing behavior to prevent the same hurt from happening again. Without accountability, harm becomes repetitive and trust slowly erodes. This dynamic often makes you feel emotionally unsafe. You may find yourself constantly bracing for disappointment or conflict, unsure how he will react to your honesty. Emotional safety is the foundation of love, and without it, connection becomes stressful rather than comforting. You may love him deeply, but love cannot thrive where feelings are ignored or invalidated. The more you tolerate emotional neglect, the more disconnected you become from your own needs. Men who disregard emotional well-being often prioritize their comfort over your peace. They avoid difficult conversations, emotional responsibility, and vulnerability because those things require effort and maturity. Instead, they expect you to adapt, to be patient, and to accept less care than you give. This imbalance slowly drains your emotional energy and teaches you to survive instead of flourish in the relationship. The truth is, emotional care is not complicated. It does not require perfection, only intention. A man who loves you may still make mistakes, but he will care. When he hurts you, he will want to understand your emotions, not silence them. When emotional well-being is consistently disregarded, it is a sign that love is not guiding the relationship. And no amount of patience or explanation can replace genuine concern for your heart. Sign number 5. You're not part of his future plans. When a man excludes you from his future plans, it quietly reveals how he truly sees your place in his life. Love naturally looks forward. It imagines shared moments, growth, and stability. When a man loves you, he instinctively includes you in his vision of tomorrow, not because he is pressured to, but because it feels right to him. When that inclusion is missing, it is not an oversight. It is a reflection of emotional distance and uncertainty about long-term commitment. You may notice that conversations about the future feel one-sided. He talks about his goals, ambitions, and dreams using only I instead of we. His plans revolve around his career, his travels, his life, with no mention of how you fit into that picture. Even when you hint at future possibilities, he keeps things vague or redirects the conversation back to the present moment. This avoidance creates a sense of standing still while he moves forward alone. Exclusion from future plans often comes disguised as living in the moment. He may say things like, "Let's not rush," or "Why worry about the future right now," making it seem as though patience is the mature approach while being present is important. Love does not avoid the future altogether. A man who truly sees a future with you does not fear discussing it. He may not have every detail figured out, but he knows you belong somewhere in that picture. This behavior places you in a temporary role in his life. You are there for companionship, comfort, and support, but not considered when decisions are made. Major choices about his life are planned without consulting you, as if your presence does not carry long-term weight. This can make you feel invisible or replaceable, even if he treats you kindly in the moment. Love makes space. It does not keep someone on the sidelines. When you are excluded from future plans, it often leads to emotional insecurity. You begin to wonder how invested he truly is, and whether you are simply filling a gap until something else comes along. This uncertainty creates anxiety and makes it difficult to fully relax into the relationship. You may hesitate to dream, to hope, or to plan, because you are unsure if he will still be there when those dreams arrive. A man who loves you understands that commitment is not only about the present, but about direction. He knows that building something meaningful requires shared vision and mutual intention. He wants to align his path with yours, not keep them separate. Even when circumstances are uncertain, his desire to include you is clear. Excluding you from the future means he's protecting his independence rather than investing in partnership. The hardest part about this sign is that it often becomes clear through silence rather than action. He does not say he does not see a future with you. He simply never talks about one that includes you. Over time, this absence speaks louder than any promise. Love does not leave you guessing about your place. When you are consistently missing from his future, it is because he has already decided, even if he has not found the words to say. It's sign number 6, and this one hurts the most. You feel alone even when you're with him. Feeling alone, even when you are with someone, is one of the most painful emotional experiences because it contradicts the very purpose of connection. When a man makes you feel lonely in his presence, it is not because you are asking for too much or expecting perfection. It happens because emotional intimacy is missing. You may sit next to him, talk to him, laugh with him, and still feel unseen, unheard, and emotionally distant. That loneliness is not in your head. It is your intuition responding to the absence of genuine emotional engagement. This kind of loneliness develops slowly. At first, you might ignore it, telling yourself that every relationship has quiet moments or emotional gaps. But over time, you begin to notice that you are the one carrying conversation, initiating connection, and trying to bridge the emotional distance. When you share your thoughts or feelings, he listens without truly hearing. His responses feel surface level, distracted, or rushed, leaving you with the sense that you are emotionally speaking into empty space. When a man does not love you, emotional presence becomes optional for him. He may be physically there, but his mind and heart are elsewhere. He may prioritize his phone, his work, or his own thoughts over the connection in front of him. You start to feel like an accessory in his life rather than a partner. This creates a quiet sadness that is difficult to explain because nothing obvious seems wrong on the surface, yet something essential is missing underneath. This loneliness often leads to self-doubt. You begin questioning whether you are interesting enough, affectionate enough, or emotionally expressive enough to keep his attention. Instead of recognizing the lack of emotional investment on his part, you turn inward and criticize yourself. This is how emotional neglect slowly reshapes self-perception, making you feel unworthy of deeper connection when the truth is simply that he is unwilling or unable to provide it. Feeling alone in a relationship also robs you of emotional safety. You may stop sharing your fears, dreams, or vulnerabilities because they are not met with care or understanding. Over time, you protect yourself by withdrawing emotionally even while staying physically present. This creates a relationship that looks intact from the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. Love should feel like refuge, not isolation. A man who truly loves you brings warmth, attentiveness, and emotional availability to the space you share. He makes you feel supported, valued, and emotionally held. His presence comforts you rather than draining you. When that presence is missing, the relationship becomes a source of emotional exhaustion instead of strength. Loneliness in a relationship is not caused by being alone. It is caused by being with someone who does not connect with your heart. You deserve a love that makes you feel seen even in silence, secure even in vulnerability, and connected even without words. When someone makes you feel alone while standing right beside you, it is not love struggling to grow, it is love absent. And recognizing that truth is the first step toward choosing yourself. Your peace and the kind of love that never leaves you feeling invisible.